she said!
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of The Peasant's Perspective. Erasure, good morning from Boise. Chantini, good morning. Jonatakis, great Tuesday morning. Yes, it is. You know, I know Ponyboy is just going crazy that he's not first. I just have a feeling he's like, ah! Anyways, why do I look all flushed out here?
I don't know. I was trying to figure that earlier. You're really orange.
With the light? I think it's a light.
Yeah. Let me adjust that while you check it out.
Okay.
Do your sip.
All right. I'm doing the simultaneous sip. Okay. I know why you're here. You're here for the simultaneous sip. All you need is a cup or a mug, a tankard, a chalice, a chalice or stein, a canteen, jug or flask, a vessel of any kind. Fill it with your favorite liquid. I like coffee. And join me now for the unparalleled dopamine hit of the day, the thing that makes everything better, the simultaneous sip. And it starts right now.
I say this as a technologist who likes technology, and I like computers, but we should not have computers do voting tabulation at all. It's far too easy to hack a computer. I know how to hack a computer. Government software is the easiest thing to hack. So it's not the best software. So we should, in my opinion, we should have paper ballots only. It should be in-person voting with ID. End of story.
It makes sense. I mean, it's legit. You know what's funny is he gave that speech right after he was briefed by Gary Bernstein and Patrick Byrne about the election fraud on the Dominion machines and Smartmatic and ES&S and Hart and the whole deal, right? So that was pretty interesting. Little story broke yesterday. Gotta find it. Okay, so little story broke yesterday. Yesterday, Maricopa was served with subpoenas and they grabbed all of their digital files. Did you know Maricopa County was counting ballots for Nevada?
What?
Yeah, so check this out. This comes from CanCon. It's not too often that I see something in the news about elections that I hadn't previously heard. And I'll be honest with you, this is something I hadn't previously heard either. Just the news reports that Runbeck allegedly stores and processes ballots for Nevada as well. So who's Runbeck?
Okay. I don't know.
And also, this is absolutely absurd. That is 87 electoral votes under the control of one private company with no obligation to the taxpayer for oversight and apparently no observation. Despite assurances that the Soros funded to the tune of $1 million, Maricopa Sheriff Paul Pinzone had deputies present. Runbeck is also the company that shipped 770,000 mail-in ballots to Fulton counties 3 days after in-person advance voting had already started.
What?
So Runbeck prints and makes the ballots and was doing the counting. So here is Runbeck Election Services. This is October 15th, 2020. Now, the election was like November 3rd or November, I think it was November 5th. Okay. They ordered ballots, no stub, boxed and sorted by precinct, slip sheet inserted every 100 ballots. 770,210 ballots at $29,000 a ballot. Price quoted includes shipping to Atlanta to arrive on October 24th. Voting was already going. Okay. Facility must have access to a dock and forklift to offload pallets. No envelopes, no send them out. To ensure timely delivery, please acknowledge receipt no later than Friday the 16th. Okay, so what does this mean? This is coming from the article here. The Runbeck facility in Maricopa was also responsible for processing ballots for the election in neighboring Nevada. Runbeck was who centralized the voting in Maricopa County, right? So all the precincts delivered their ballots to the Runbeck company that was in an arena that was counting ballots in Maricopa County. The staffer noted Runbeck was responsible for processing mail-in ballots for both Arizona and Nevada at the same time, raising further concerns about commingling. So not only do they have access to the ballots pre-election, they were in charge of counting the ballots. and they took delivery in Georgia of ballots while they were voting. Do you think they had time to mail them out and get them back? No. They were supposed to arrive on the 24th. Voting's on the 5th. 9 days, you're going to send out ballots and expect to receive 770,000 ballots back in Georgia. And now we're talking about Maricopa County counting ballots for Nevada, which offered an explanation for counting delays in Clark County, Nevada in that election, 2020. The employee explained that they were running Arizona's ballots for Maricopa County before they started to process Nevada again. This may explain the delay in Nevada posting any new tabulated totals for Wednesday and Thursday, because the Nevada ballots were waiting, sorting, and signature verification at the Runbeck facility. The staffer wrote, in addition to Nevada, the Runbeck site reportedly stored ballots for several other Western states, including Colorado, California, and Utah. What? What? Colorado, California, and Utah all had ballots showing up in Arizona? It is unclear based on the report, but whether Runbeck also sorts ballots on behalf of election officials in those states. What? What? So one of our listeners, PB Utah Scouts, mentions this, and he's like, those two entities, right, ordering ballots and delivering ballots should be nowhere near each other. Is this crazy or what? So we're going to take a little diversion today. Okay, we're going to go back in time. Do you remember Sheriff Arpaio from Arizona?
Oh, yeah. He's the guy that makes everybody wear the pink.
Yes, makes everybody wear the pink. So what happened to him? He got charged by the Obama administration.
What?
Yeah, he got indicted, went to prison, and had to get pardoned by Donald Trump in Trump 1.
I did not know that.
Of course you didn't know this. Of course, nobody knew this. Okay, in fact, let's do a little search here. I want to make sure I get exactly why it is he went to prison. How do you spell his last name?
It starts with an A.
Arpaio. Why did Arpaio go to prison? Okay, I'm asking Grok just to get a quick answer here. Okay, Joseph Arpaio, former sheriff of Maricopa County, was convicted in July 2017 of criminal contempt. So his charge started under Obama. A misdemeanor. This stemmed from his willful and deliberate violation of federal court orders in a long-running civil rights lawsuit. The core issue was that the federal judge had ordered Arpaio and his sheriff's office to stop racially profiling Latinos during traffic stops and immigration enforcement. Despite these orders, Arpaio continued practices for about 18 months. The court found that Arpaio disobeyed the orders, failed to ensure compliance. He faced 6 months in jail. Due to a pardon. He was issued a full pardon on August 25th, 2017, one of Trump's first acts of clemency. Okay, so that is why he went to prison, was for racially profiling, which, if you know anything about that, it's like impossible to prove that you are or are not doing that. It's like, well, was the guy speeding? Yeah, but he was black. You shouldn't have pulled him over. Or he was Latino. Shouldn't have pulled him over. It's like, okay. So his troubles all started because he was kind of a popular sheriff. I mean, you knew exactly who he was. Pink jumpsuits, right? Yes. Okay. So this is a long briefing, and I'm just going to play it for just a second. Sheriff Arpaio got into hot water with the Obama administration when he did a press conference talking about Barack Obama's birth certificate.
That building is a PhD with math equations that, my God, I've never seen in my life. These guys know their stuff. And I'm going to tell you what I respect about both of them.
Talking about the experts who examined Barack Obama's birth certificate.
And Marco at 4 Labs stayed true to their discipline. One of the tests you do when you have an expert, you want to make sure your expert isn't trying to run you for the money. If I can push the expert, that's not a guy I want. These men could not be pushed. This is their findings. This is how they see it. And this is how they're calling it. So I'm going to run this video for you. And I want you to understand this has nothing to do with anything we ever did before. It doesn't negate what we did before. And I'll explain that. It is new and it's profound. And it's quite disturbing. So let me play the video for you now, and then we'll move on.
Okay. So what he does here is he shows a video that these experts who run a crime lab that puts people in prison every day, ran a crime lab, but they determined forgeries. They determined where child pornography is generated. These guys are like forensic experts on this kind of stuff.
According to the dates on the certificates, these births took place in Honolulu during the month of August of 1961.
They're talking about Barack Obama's birth certificate.
16 days apart. The birth certificate on the left belongs to Barack Obama. The birth certificate on the right belongs to Johanna Nee. After 5 years of intense investigation, which included consultation with one of America's most respected forensic document examiners and a team of European media forensic experts, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office has reached a conclusion utilizing forensic techniques both old and new. It is the opinion of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office that the birth certificate on your right, belonging to Johanna Ani, was in fact used as a source document in the digital creation of Barack Obama's long-form birth certificate. 9 points of forgery.
Okay, so they go on in this video to explain 9 different points of forgery on Barack Obama's birth certificate.
Okay.
Would this be kind of devastating to a presidential candidate and a president if you find out that his birth certificate was forged and he's not an American citizen?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah. But, you know, so there was one lady who was kind of in charge of the health department and issuing these certificates of live birth, right? Turns out after this report she went on a little airplane ride.
This morning, a plane crashing in the ocean off Hawaii last month. The accident killed a state official. As John Blackstone shows us, one of the survivors captured the drama with his camera.
This is how it looked to rescuers from the sky. But this is the view of the 9 passengers aboard the Cessna aircraft as it plunged into the waters off Molokai on December 11th.
The engine, made a noise, and all the bells and whistles started.
Ferdinand Puentes had only planned to record the takeoff with his GoPro camera, but kept rolling as the engine failed. He had the camera on a stick and was able to document himself and the other passengers struggling to stay afloat.
Yep. Okay, so that right there is the woman who did Barack Obama's birth certificate. Okay, she's alive. Plane's in the water. She's alive. Okay,
struggling to stay afloat. The pilot is seen with a cut to his head.
So many things just happening. It's is it for real? Is this really happening?
A spear fisherman who was used to being in the ocean, Puentes tried to swim to shore, but with 50 yards to go, he was overcome with exhaustion.
Oh boy!
A lot of things were just racing, but you can't actually say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this and that." It's pretty much everything is on instinct.
The only fatality was Hawaii Health Director Loretta Fuddy. She gained notoriety in 2011 after President Obama asked her to release his birth certificate amid speculation he was born outside the United States.
The birth certificate that Judge Arpaio says has 9 points of forgery and is a fraud from his experts. And you can go watch that video. It's 10 minutes long. It's compelling. It's very compelling. Okay.
But it's never been adjudicated. It's never been adjudicated.
Still under investigation. Puentes and the other passengers were all treated and released. For CBS This Morning, John Black.
So the only person that died in this accident was her. Okay. Now, this gets even weirder.
What did she die from?
Good question. So it gets weirder, okay? Because when you come back, let's go back here. You don't have to show my screen while I'm showing this here. Okay, so let me get back to the part because I skipped the page. Okay, so now we're looking at this here. So let's look at a couple still shots.
Okay.
So this was taken from the GoPro camera of the guy that was in the crash. He was in the back of the plane when it happened, okay? So there she is alive, okay? Now, suddenly, a diver shows up on the GoPro camera and pops up out of the surface. So you can't really see it really great, but he's in a scuba mask.
What the heck?
Yeah. So a diver shows up.
Just happens to be on scene.
Just happens to be on scene. And out of 9 passengers, the only passenger that passes away is the one that just released Barack Obama's birth certificate.
Passengers on board the McCunny
right?
continues to let the go.
Anyways, super sad. Always hate to see somebody die.
Yeah.
Turns out this woman, okay, this woman who released the birth certificate her name was Loretta Fuddy. Okay. So here's Loretta Fuddy.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one who released Barack Obama's birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, it turns out Loretta Fuddy was in a cult. So the dead Hawaii official held key positions in the Subud cult. What is Subud? After the plane incident, it surfaced that Hawaii Department of Health Director Loretta DeLiana Fuddy was the first non-physician health director in Hawaii's history. Okay. Has been the Subud USA national chairperson from 2006 to 2008. DeLiana, we learned from Fuddy's memorial, is Fuddy's Subud name, and not only is this the first time most Americans became aware of the Islamic cult Subud, but also the first time Americans were made aware that Stanley Ann Dunham, Barack Obama's mother, was also a member of the little known cult.
What the hell are we doing here?
The name Sobarka has never appeared in any other publicly known documents related to Barack Obama. Is Sobarka, perhaps Barack Obama's Subud name? I hope I'm saying that right. Why have Americans never been told about the Subud cult connection before? Why the secrecy? The life histories of Loretta DeLiana Fuddy and Stanley Ann Dunham appear to share many parallel trajectories, like Dunham, and that is Barack Obama's mother, right? Fuddy is from Hawaii, spent time in Seattle and Indonesia, and was deeply involved in the cult. Only after reading Dunham's biography by Janie Scott, A Singular Woman, do we become aware of Dunham's early fascination and lifelong devotion to the cult. The Islamic cult comprised of about 10,000 members worldwide. The group observes Ramadan. The cult was founded in Indonesia by Muhammad Subud, whatever. They maintain a strong and enduring connection to the United Nations ties between Subud and the UN began as early as the 1950s and continue today. Subud spread from Indonesia to Hawaii and Chicago. Who's from Chicago? Who's that politician from Chicago?
Well, I don't know, but that guy right there looks so much. I cannot.
Hush, Ron, hush.
Okay.
The group also established an office in Seattle. The Subud USA moved its headquarters to Washington, D.C., a suburb, in 2012. Didn't Barack Obama so they went from Chicago to D.C. They're following Barack Obama.
Wow.
Subud received a grant from the Crestone Baca community in Colorado from the Manitou Foundation. The Manitou Foundation was funded by a shadowy UN official and Agenda 21 architect, Agenda 21, which is like the precursor to Agenda 2020. That's why we have all of our stupid zoning rules, by the way. Strong resides in China. George Soros, another tie-in here, through his Open Society Foundation, has funded Yayasan Usa. These guys have very difficult names to pronounce. A humanitarian effort in Indonesia. Soros funded the Subud Humanitarian Project in 2008. DeLiana was Loretta Fuddy's Subud name. DeLiana joined Subud in 1982 in San Diego. DeLiana was Subud USA Endowment Fund trustee. This allowed oversight of the group's finances. Subud literature often discusses the complete destruction of capitalism and the transformation of Western society. Turns out Valerie Jarrett's father was in communication with Soviet agent who was charged with espionage and fled to the U.S. The startling connection. So who's Valerie Jarrett? Who's Valerie Jarrett?
I don't remember. I do know that name. Let me think for a second. Valerie Jarrett.
She was Barack Obama's live-in. She was his, you can't describe her as anything other than a handler. She lived with Barack Obama before, was one of his White House counsel. Okay. And then after he retired, she lived in his house. Okay? They lived together. Like she's grandmama, right? But she's Valerie Jarrett. This is the one that Roseanne Barr got fired for making fun of. Okay. Right. The startling connection between Loretta Fuddy's Islamic cult network and the 20th century Soviet spy rings is only the latest revelation to paint an increasingly troubling picture of President Barack Obama. Valerie Jarrett, President Obama's most trusted and influential advisor, is the product of communist espionage roots, Soviet communist espionage roots. FBI files show that the father of senior Obama White House advisor Valerie Jarrett was in communication with paid Soviet agent Alfred Stern. Stern was charged with espionage and fled to Prague. Declassified FBI files obtained under FOIA by Judicial Watch revealed that the father, the maternal grandfather, and the father-in-law of President Obama's closest advisor, Valerie Jarrett were hardcore communists under investigation by the U.S. government. Valerie Jarrett's grandfather, Robert Taylor, and Soviet spy Alfred Stern worked as business partners in low-income housing. Valerie Jarrett carried out this family business tradition. Valerie earned a moniker, slumlord, after she became ensnared in several Chicago public-private low-income housing scandals. Valerie Jarrett's father-in-law, Vernon Jarrett, a communist propagandist for the Soviets, what does my screen keep blanking out?
I don't know.
Was placed on the FBI Security Index. The Security Index was a secret list of individuals to be immediately arrested should any disruption break out between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. Vernon Jarrett and Frank Marshall Davis simultaneously worked as writers at the radical Chicago Defender newspaper. Valerie Jarrett's own father, Dr. James Bowman, was deemed a Soviet subversive by the FBI. Dr. Bowman, like Vernon Jarrett, was in touch with Soviet spy Alfred Stern. The Jarrett family's extensive connections to Alfred Stern provide further evidence that President Barack Obama is affiliated with long-standing Soviet espionage cabal. Any question about Stern being a Soviet spy dissipated when he fled the U.S. in 1956 to Prague before moving to the Soviet Union and Canada.
Man, I think
Dr.
we got
Bowman
enough
left the U.S.
material.
military in 1955 and moved to Iran, claiming that racism and pay disparity had forced him to seek employment in Iran. Stern was subsequently charged with espionage and absentia in 1957. Barack Obama refers to Valerie Jarrett as family. Frank Marshall Davis, another member of President Obama's family, was placed on the FBI Security Index. Davis was a CPUSA member, number 47544, and was a suspected KGB agent. Davis was a Barack Obama's Hawaii mentor. Exactly. So the lady that produced the birth certificate that Sheriff Arpaio says is a forgery died in a plane crash and was the only one that died when a diver popped up and she disappeared. Okay. And then we find out she was part of a Islamic cult that Barack Obama's parents' mother was in, and they had connections to Hawaii and to Chicago, where Barack Obama appeared suddenly. No history of going to college, no history of like attending Columbia Law School. Ask Wayne Allen Root about that, right? Doesn't show up in the yearbooks. You've got Wayne Allen Root and what's his name?
I don't
Savage.
know. I was going to ask if Obama got his diving card.
Savage says that Barack Obama, he believes Barack Obama went to law school in Moscow because Columbia University had like a sister school going on for a little while. So thinks Barack Obama went to school in Moscow. His family is Valerie Jarrett, who basically everybody but her in her family and everybody they knew was on the FBI arrest immediately if anything goes bad because they're all spies list. And he somehow ends up as our president?
Right.
So why am I talking about this?
Yeah.
If you were trying to overthrow the government and you had a Manchurian candidate and you had it all set up, what length would you go to maintain that power? What length would you go to?
Any length, man. I mean, you'd have to.
Would you maybe, print some extra ballots and have them sent to the voting centers? Would you maybe,
oh, hell yeah.
count Nevada ballots? How did the Nevada ballots make it to Maricopa County?
Well, I don't know, but we got to grease some wheels.
Super close.
We just got to grease some wheels. That's all.
Dude, this is. And we're over here like, I got to go to work. I'm glad I live in a democracy. Okay. So we find out yesterday that Maricopa County finally has an investigation going on from the FBI. Trump tweeted this out yesterday, and the FBI grabbed all the data from Maricopa County, the electronic data specifically. So let's listen to John Solomon and Steve Bannon talk about this. But before we do that, let me get back here. Pony Boy, good morning. Mata Easel, good morning, everyone. Doug Wyatt, good morning. So glad you made it. Reason 411, you've been around for a couple weeks. I love it. Good morning. HL Young 22 did not know about Nevada ballots counted in Arizona or sheriff going to prison. I knew about the sheriff going to prison. I did not know that Nevada ballots were being counted in Maricopa. And that's crazy because I'm pretty sure as far as regular peasants go, I probably know as much about what happened in the 2020 election as anyone.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Heather H.L. Young, in spite of the birth certificates and laptops, control of the media sells us our candidates. Exactly. D. Bavarian said, yes, Barry Soretto was a CIA back before he was pres. It sure seems that way.
I mean,
it sure seems that way. It's crazy because the news is like, turns out the lady who died was the one who had Barack Obama's birth certificate. Too bad, plane trash. What do we got, Ron, before we play this video?
Unless these are like bright green, I can't click them.
Oh, okay. So let's play the video while you play around with that.
Sort of a blockbuster story on Just the News. I think you broke overnight. Maricopa County. Now, you've been the tip of the spear of allowing us to understand the overall framing of what's happening in Georgia. And we've had tons of the local people have been fighting the fight in Georgia. Maricopa, and as Georgia is the key that probably picks the lock today because it stood in the breach and go. Everybody remembers back from that night that it was really Arizona and the call by Fox News that kind of seemed like a domino effect and really disoriented many, many, many people who were not just Fox fans, but obviously Trump supporters. And we've never really gotten steady on. So go through what your story says today, because I think this is so important. I wanted to lead with it this morning, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So Maricopa County has had more than a decade of long-term problems. Back in the early 2000s, it was the Democrats who always cried foul that Maricopa County couldn't count votes correctly, couldn't administer the election correctly.
All right, we gotta read that right now.
I know. We can't
read that one right now. Sorry, guys.
That's so funny. Here's a little inside scoop that many creators are talking about behind the scenes. It's actually one of the reasons I'm using Rumble. They made a way to super chat creators so we could get paid immediately and without any fees. YouTube and Twitch take up to 50% fees when you tip creators. This method takes none. That's right. The platform takes zero fees. I keep nearly 100% of what you send me. Well, if we're really talking about Taylor here, I mean, I'll take it. We'll share it. You can super chat with Bitcoin, Tether USD, or even Tether Gold stable coins. The tip will show up directly in our Rumble chat, which I'll do my best to read. Some of the verbiage is pretty bad. All you need to do is download the Rumble wallet on the App Store and send the tips to your favorite creators. You can send it to wallet.rumble.com, or you can download the app directly from the app stores. Seriously, what an amazing way to get rid of the middleman and help out the creator economy. Shout out to Rumble for making this disruptive technology. Okay, I'm going to just tell you again what that is. Wallet.rumble.com. Go ahead, get out there and get it.
There you go. Perfect. All right. Sorry, guys. We had to hit that or we were going to miss it. Okay, here we go.
Of long-term problems. Back in the early 2000s, it was the Democrats who always cried foul that Maricopa County couldn't count votes correctly, couldn't administer the election correctly. Then in 2024, Republicans raised the same curtains and Democrats suddenly went into a state of denial. The FBI has decided that the history of Maricopa County is problematic, and that under federal law, a county or a state must administer the election the way their state laws do require it. If they don't, it is a federal legal violation. This is why they raided Fulton County, another place with a long history of irregularities and misconduct, and quite frankly, just incompetent election counting. And so the focus in this grand jury subpoena that went in the last few days to Maricopa County, seized many gigabytes of election data, is the 2024 election, which is interesting because President Trump won there. But there is a discovery that was made by congressional observers. Every year, the House Administration Committee sends observers, one Democrat, one Republican, to various voting centers. One of the teams, the Republican Democrat team that went to Maricopa County, observed something very disturbing. They took pictures. They wrote a long report. Congressman Abe Hamadeh hinted at this in an oversight letter recently. The information in that report was so troubling to the FBI, and when coupled to the things that the Arizona Senate found in 2020 that were raised as concerns, and the things that Hamadeh and Kerry Lake raised in 2022, they were able to get a grand jury subpoena from a federal grand jury and execute the transmission of a large amount of voter data. They're going to go through that data looking for some of the telltale signs that were in this congressional report. I hope in the the next couple of days to make that congressional report public so everybody can see what it was that observers on Brian Stiles' House Administration Committee saw. Brian Stile himself acknowledged that they were working with federal authorities on this specific Arizona matter. So you got Congress working with the FBI. And I think this is phase 2 of about a 5-phase look at states, particularly blue states or blue areas of states where elections are not administered the way the law says they're supposed to be. And as a result, the FBI may come in and prosecute people because it is a federal felony if you don't follow your state's laws, if you don't treat everybody the same under your state law. So that's where we're at today. Now, over the next 10 days, Steve, we're going to have a lot more. We are going to be able to get, for the first time, I've been able to start processing these documents, a large body of evidence that's in the intelligence community that raises concerns about foreign interference in our elections. That'll probably be the end of this week or early next week. The documents are explosive. They're really remarkable. And what's most remarkable is that all this has been kept a secret from the American people, possibly President Trump in some cases, until recently, of course, when his team told him. I think there's a lot there. And then in between those two things, we're going to reveal another codenamed FBI investigation that targeted President Trump, one you've never heard of before, one that may be among the most troubling. We have Crossfire Hurricane, of course. We've got Plasmic Echo, and we have the third one that targeted the January 6th investigation, Arctic Frost. There's another one that is really deeply troubling. It's troubling to the FBI. It's troubling to the intelligence community. And hopefully between now and next week, we'll get all 4 of those stories out.
Yeah. So let's talk about that story here. Well, before we do that, let's do this. Let's listen to Mark Finkum. Do you remember who Mark Finkum is?
No.
So Mark Finkum was state GOP senator in Arizona, and he was really involved in trying to get after the 2020 election fraud in Maricopa County. He was instrumental to get the Cyber Ninja.
I'm sorry,
symposium.
I didn't remember your name.
Yeah. So they kind of got run out, like they lost their next elections, go figure. You know what I mean? So anyways, he stayed on the case though, right? Because this is a big deal for people who believe in living in a republic and American values and we the people, for the people, by the people, that whole thing. Like this is offensive to our souls. I mean, this is like, who's in charge? Who are we paying our taxes to? Who's doling out these services, right? And then you start getting into like tyranny, and it's a guy like me, I'm going, I don't feel like you guys have the authority to put me in prison. And I'm not saying that as some sovereign citizen. I'm saying that because I'm not sure you were elected.
Well, they are the movie director.
They sure do seem to be the movie director. Yeah. DeBarian says the whole system is rigged. Nothing is going to change until you get out of that corrupt system. Common law courts can change that. Start picking the low-hanging fruit. There are no common law courts. 1938, Erie versus Tompkins, you can look it up. There is no federal general common law. There is only commercial law, which is part of the problem, Deborah Bavarian. You need to come over and check us out at 1776live.us. On Thursdays, we do our Ignite presentation. We talk all about this. I've probably done something called equity in court more than any other person in this country to great effect. And it's not common law that you're trying to get at. It's equity that you want. So anyways, let's move on from that. Okay, so this is Mark Finkum talking about the ballots and talking about the warrant that was served yesterday, or subpoena, however you want to think of it. I'm not exactly sure which it was, and how they grabbed the digital data.
This latest effort by the Trump DA is, I think, the first glimpse that people who followed this story will have into actual justice being carried out. I'm just slightly skeptical and concerned that the time that's passed has given potential bad actors some time to cover their tracks.
Well, I would agree with you, but you cannot obliterate the electronic record. So anybody who knows anything about computers at the engineering level, you never truly delete something. It's archived. It doesn't appear obvious, but it's still on the system. All right. So keep in mind, this isn't just about the signature verification stuff. The recorder, Justin Heap, who replaced Stephen Richer, who was responsible for this crap show of an election, removed over 500,000 fictitious voter identities from the system over the last year. 500,000.
Wow.
So now we've got this situation that's been set up, and we're trying to look forward, but you still have to look in the rearview mirror as to what went wrong.
Right.
So you had signature verification, but had we had a system like ELLY, which is a voter verification system at the front end, and endpoint monitoring to make sure that nobody penetrates the electronic system at the back end, bookmark those two things with the actual election process, and we probably wouldn't be having this conversation today.
Mark, last question. Who are your top candidates for arrest should wrongdoing be found here?
I think I'll leave that up to the grand jury. I don't want to speculate on that. It is, however, a target-rich environment.
Yeah, it's
Latest effort by the Trump
500
DOJ.
voter profiles deleted.
Huh.
Oh, we're just cleaning up the rolls. No, you weren't. You were trying to hide evidence.
How many people do you have on your roll?
Clearly, you were trying to hide evidence. Clearly, you were trying to hide evidence. Okay, so this right here is a picture of Obama's Witches of the West Wing. It's important that we know who these people are. Okay, so this is Kathy Rumler. Who's Kathy Rumler?
It's his attorney.
It's his attorney. And what else is she? 11,000 emails with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
So told her he loved him. Okay, a lot of really shady stuff there. Got the award from John Brennan for some CIA award. Okay. Then who's this right here? This is Lisa Monaco.
Yep.
She's the fixer. Okay. She's involved in everything from Russiagate to Ukrainegate. She's involved in Fast and Furious. She was also on the leadership team in Joe Biden's DOJ under Merrick Garland in the District of Columbia. She was on this woman right here. This woman that I'm putting my cursor over. This woman right here, I believe, was on the leadership team that decided to remand me from court and put me in prison.
Oh.
Okay. This woman right here, she stayed on and helped prosecute J6 cases and whatnot after January 6th. And who's this right here?
That's
Susan Rice, who just recently was saying, we're going to come after everybody who does anything to help Donald Trump and gives them quarter, right?
Uh-huh.
So these three women right here sitting around Barack Obama, who, of course, we're missing Valerie Jarrett in the picture. Do you get it yet? These people are corrupt as you can come. Fabricate a birth certificate. We know from Patrick Byrne, and I believe this is at this point pretty much, we're just waiting for some government official to officially announce it, but the first manipulated election through the machines was the Iowa caucus, where Barack Obama beat Hillary Clinton and gained all of his momentum to then go to win the United States presidential seat. That's pretty stunning. What length would you go to cover up the Manchurian candidate?
You'd cross the Clintons.
And what did we hear yesterday from John Kirkconnell? The cover up is worse than the crime.
Mm-hmm.
We've got cover up on cover up on cover up on cover up. And who's Donald Trump? The guy in the back, the reality TV star that's like, who's Barry Soweto? That's funny that he changed his name, saying that he doesn't have a birth certificate, right? And then this guy decides to throw his hat in the ring and run. And he used to be a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. And he's one of these elites that apparently wasn't corrupted by the elite system. You know what I mean? And it's like all hands on deck. And how far would they go? Do you think that they would count illegal aliens in the census? Of course they would. And how does that flip the House? Oh, I don't know, 30 to 40 seats.
Chicago, New York, Massachusetts. Democrats have gerrymandered the vote beyond recognition to try to maintain their advantage in the House elections. On top of that, let's not forget, Democrats rigged the 2020 census by including illegal aliens. Remember, they sued Donald Trump. They sued the administration. They fought tooth and nail to include illegal aliens in the census. 20 to 30 of House Democrat seats wouldn't exist but for illegal aliens. Texas is taking just a small corrective step against this ocean of fraud, this ocean of abuse by the corrupt Democrat Party, Sean. Chicago, New York, Massachusetts.
So they rigged the census to do what? Increase the voter rolls. Who knows if those illegals voted? But once you're on the voter rolls and you're using the Runbeck system, who prints the ballots and counts the ballots for multiple states in one spot, taking delivery of ballots just days before they start actually counting votes while they're supposed to have had those ballots sent out. You were short 770,000 1,000 ballots in Georgia and didn't send them out?
Nope.
You know, one of the things that Giuliani and Sidney Powell alleged was that there was a print shop nearby that printed ballots and delivered them right to Fulton County without ever sending them out. These are the, quote, unfolded ballots. Well, we just saw the receipt. That's the first time I got to see the actual receipt. So then you go, like, let's go to another swing state, Michigan. And we're just kind of we're not even doing a deep dive on the elections. We're just showing you how bad this stuff is. So again, if you're going to cover up a birth certificate by sending a diver out into the ocean to kill somebody, allegedly, who knows, right? For an Islamic cult member that happens to be in the same Islamic cult as Barack Obama, that has ties to Chicago, where Barack Obama appears suddenly, that is surrounded by people that are ex-KGB Soviet spies, that's getting funding from the George Soros Foundation. This is getting to be kind of crazy, right? It's like all the enemies in one pot here. The Secretary of State in Michigan is Secretary Benson. And we have a lot of listeners in Michigan, actually, right? She just confessed and admitted and confirmed that illegal aliens are on the voter rolls. Of course they are. Jocelyn Benson, we've actually done a lot more than any other state. She refused the answer to the questions, are illegal aliens on Michigan's voter rolls? So here's her response.
Can you assure Michiganders that there are no longer any non-citizen voters on the voter roll?
We've actually done a lot, more than any other state, to ensure we're driving down or increasing the security of our voter rolls. And you can go to our website and see everything we've done to ensure the accuracy of our list. And we talked at length about that as well.
So are there any other non-citizen voters on the voter roll?
Well, certainly a priority.
That audio is horrible. What she's saying there is basically we've worked on our list. Now, anybody who knows anything about the election systems leading up to 2024, in 2024, it was gloves off, right? The emergency orders of COVID, suspend constitutions, mail-in ballots in places like Wisconsin that never had them, and on it goes, right? But Michigan, of all the states after 2020, actually did tighten up their rules, right, across the board, because there was so much scrutiny. A lot of legislatures, some of it felt performative, but they did things, you know, a couple checks and balances here and there. Michigan did the opposite. They took off all of the guardrails. No voter ID, no registration. I mean, it's just automatic registration, the worst state. In fact, they were saying, you know, 2024, too big to rig. People were saying they couldn't unrig Michigan. The only thing that probably saved us in Michigan was the patriots that sat outside the voting centers at night and turned away the U-Haul trucks.
Oh, jeez.
Right? Did you hear about this in Detroit? So Detroit was delaying giving their results. And then we started getting reports from people on the ground with videos saying, we told the U-Haul to leave. And the RNC had attorneys sitting out there saying that U-Haul, if that U-Haul goes into park, we've already got someone at the courthouse ready to submit to get an injunction to stop those ballots from coming in. Wow. Right? Because the cutoff was like 7 p.m. And when the trucks start showing up at midnight, they're like, no way. They camped outside of those voting centers all night long to turn away trucks and vehicles allegedly with ballots in them. Okay, so that's probably the only real reason why we won in 2020, because had those ballots made it into the system, they would have been counted. So it kind of pinned them into a corner. But do we really have to go that length in America to secure our elections? Apparently. To literally camp outside the places where they vote?
Apparently.
Yeah. Now, the problem they had was they centralized voting, right? If you'd have done your voting in every little elementary school gymnasium, you couldn't do that. You could have a spot where some ballots could show up. But because they centralized the voting, you just go sit around that spot, right? So here's the deal. She is part of an NGO, Michigan Center for Election and Law Administration. Okay, so there's their status, 501c3. In 2020, they had $12,000 in revenue. They had $12 million in revenue, $11,889 million in expenses, and only have $150,000 in assets. Okay. The Voter Education Group, funded in 2009 by Jocelyn Benson. Notice the 2020 budget? That's how much she was bribed to overthrow the government in 2020. That's pretty much it right there. That's her group. 12 million bucks, 11 million in expenses, all expensed out, no assets to speak of. That's her group. Very interesting. Yeah, Reason 411, she has done a lot to cover up. Yes, Jenna Griswold and Jocelyn Benson are two very, in my opinion, disgusting women. I don't know how else to put it. It's like you're depriving American citizens of rights, and you know you're doing it, and you put on this very sociopathic smile in the process. Your teeth are too white. That's all I can say. Politics is just theater, says Deborah Bavarian on YouTube. It's just theater for the masses, and you are still up to the eyeballs in their propaganda. Nothing will change until you deprogram yourself. That is true. Carlito, the military will eventually step in. You're right. It's too corrupt to fix currently. Maybe Shantini, you just can't make this shit up. And Shantini, I know, is from Michigan. She knows exactly what's going on there. Yeah. And it is really stunning. Now, the issue of voter ID. Okay, what can we do to fix this? Obviously, we're going to have to take incremental steps. Nobody wants the entire system to burn down, although I do know some of you do. Okay, I do know there are some accelerationists out there that, you just think that you can survive on your food storage or whatever. I don't particularly ascribe to that. I've seen some of the worst of society in prison, a depravity and a darkness that I didn't know existed. These are not the people who would mess around with election fraud. They'll just kill you. You know what I mean? They will eat your face off. So
is the Save CARES Act or whatever, is this going to fix everything? Are we all going to are we just going to show IDs and then dip our fingers in ink when we vote, or what?
Here's the thing. No, we're not going to dip the Afghanistan, dip your fingers. I don't know what's going to happen, right? But the first and foremost is if you have to prove citizenship with a passport, a social security card, a birth certificate, something like that, that goes a long ways.
Yeah.
Right? That goes a long ways. And then, of course, you've
showing up in person.
So you've got to show ID to register, and then you got to show ID to vote. Mm-hmm. So there's the two things. And the show ID to vote, that's not a big deal. You get show ID to buy a beer. You know what I mean? Not a big deal at all. And so it's wildly popular amongst the American people.
Okay, what's the racial breakdown on this, right? Because I think a lot of people make the argument that people of color, non-white Americans, have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote. But even here, take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of Black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote. Okay.
So what is the controversy?
Exactly. What is the controversy here? We've played it. Tommy Tuberville, you've got a dozen senators, or probably more, that don't want to go after this because they know their seat was not won. Okay. House members. If you take the illegals off the voter rolls, what's going to happen to your apportionment? If they fix the census in 2030 and you change your apportionment, you see what I'm talking about? Yeah. What length would you go to cover up the cover-up of the cover-up of the Manchurian candidate, Barack Obama?
I guess you got to go all the way.
You got to go all the way. I mean, would you involve the DOJ in maybe illegally targeting the political opponents of Barack Obama? Yeah, you might do that. So this is what John Solomon had talked about earlier. In addition to the probe into Maricopa County by the FBI, Trump targeted by FBI codename counter intel probes that ensnared hundreds of Americans. So what is this talking about? So we've all heard of Crossfire Hurricane, and we've mostly all heard of Arctic Frost. But remember how we found out there were special access files and stuff like that? There were two other operations against Donald Trump, Round River,
never heard of that,
Plasmic Echo.
And we just heard about that this morning. We have not heard of
these until yesterday. Okay.
I love these names, by the way.
Yeah. Arctic frost that stretched from summer 2016 to January 2025, all the way up until Trump took office, they were investigating, uncovering evidence of far-reaching dragnet that in some cases may have been predicated on false, misleading, or uncorroborated justifications, officials said. Many of the investigative files were hidden from view, even from the most FBI agents, because they were marked prohibited access and controlled carefully by FBI leadership. Patel's search has been aided by whistleblowers inside his agency, a handful of senior bureau executives close to the director, and some members of Congress, particularly Senate Judiciary Committee Chuck Grassley of Iowa, who's holding up the Save America Act, by the way. Those who have seen the records told Just the News they chronicle how the FBI's expanded counterterrorism and counterintelligence missions after September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks eventually became hijacked by politics and led agents to deploy tools meant for terrorists and spies against everyday Americans in a bid to find a way to bring criminal cases against Trump. There's this whole thing about oppressor and victim, and then when the victims get power, they become the oppressor and they victimize who was once the oppressor. It's this pendulum swing back and forth and back and forth. Barack Obama's family and his closest advisors were all accused of being what, Ron? Spies.
Yeah.
And Islamic terrorists.
Yeah.
And then they contrived a way to get power. And what did they do? They flipped the script and they went after the patriots with the tools that had been designed to go after who? Them. It's just a high level observation. I can't prove any of it other than just to play clips and read John Solomon reports. I mean, I only went to prison over this nonsense, right? Because I got wrapped up in it. Why? Oh, because I wanted an election. I voted for Barack Obama. Little did I know he was this, right? Because to me, he was Mr. Hope and Change. And what we get? Every piece of paper he signed was the opposite of what he said, which is exactly what you'd get from an Islamist that's going to lie to you to gain power, which is what they say they do openly. This is bonkers. One whistleblower this month told the FBI that surveillance and monitoring of Trump figures continued right up to the president's 2025 inauguration, according to multiple interviews. Few inside Trump's orbit were spared from targeting by their stature a dozen members of Congress and their staffers, his future chief of staff, Susie Wiles, journalists, campaign advisors, defense lawyers, and even Patel himself had their privacy pierced by warrants, wiretaps, FISA surveillance, phone record analysis, FBI assessments, or grand juries. Many targets and subjects fell under the Bureau's definition of special circumstances because they have recognized constitutionally protected privileges like lawyers and members of Congress, journalists, and political figures. Even a political consultant turned documentary filmmaker who investigated Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings before joining Trump's 2024 campaign was recently notified he was targeted in a criminal investigation that only recently was shut down, according to letters between Congress and the FBI reviewed by Just the News. Michael Caputo had his emails and communications seized in 2023 by a classified subpoena issued about 2 weeks after he joined the Trump campaign. And the email account the Bureau penetrated contained correspondence on the Trump campaign's private strategies and deliberations. It's amazing Donald Trump won. Do you know how charismatic you have to be to attract people to your cause, knowing that you're likely going to be put under scrutiny and surveillance by the government and put on a target list for prosecution? Do you know how amazing of a leader Donald Trump has to be to not wield those tools and still enlist people in the cause of making America great again? This is a leader that the world has never seen, ever. All the opposition he's up against, this isn't a Hitlerian rise to power where he took control of the levers of power and then used it like Barack Obama did to inflate his support, allegedly. This is a guy who swam upstream the whole time.
He's still doing it.
Too big to rig? I mean, counting ballots from Nevada in Maricopa County, and you still won those states? This is something that is beyond belief, right? I walk around Washington State, and I know we have some crazy liberals here, but I also am like, but not everybody's like that, right? I mean, you go on even like on Bainbridge Island here, the bastion of liberalism. It's like, they're not all that liberal. They're kind of hippies, kind of crunchy, but they're not as liberal as you'd think. There's activists, sure, but most of where we live is like pickups and shotguns. It's country. You know what I mean? How are we that liberal? We're not. We're not. It's just that it's been totally suppressed. The media is totally in on it, just like our friend Deb Bavarian 88 says, right? Patel's FBI has informed Congress the probe has been shut down, but the questions of how so many Americans were targeted remains open. At least 1,200 people fall into categories of special circumstances target or subject were investigated under assessments of the FBI between 2018 and 2014 during Wray's tenure, an explosive recent audit report to Congress revealed. There's growing evidence that may support the case that the FBI engaged between 2016 and 2025 in a conspiracy to violate the civil rights of his supporters under the color of government power, a senior DOJ official with direct knowledge of the FBI's current reviews told Just the News. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon recently told Just the News that criminal charges are indeed possible. Possible? 1,200 people had their rights violated under color of government power. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll put some charges. If federal officials intentionally violated civil liberties in politically weaponized investigations. Is there really any doubt at this point? Is there? The Department of Justice is at the heart of considering these issues right now. So I can't really talk about the specifics, but in general terms, yes, the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ generally does have a tool of criminal conspiracy statute for conspiring against rights. For conspiring against rights. And this date backs to the start of the Ku Klux Klan. Remember that whole oppressor victim thing? Isn't it convenient that Barack Obama was also our first half-black president that would have been the victim of Ku Klux Klan violence? And didn't he basically segregate America by using identity politics and blaming everything bad on Christians who cling to their Bibles and their guns and have, what do you call it? Daddy issues? Or was it mommy issues? I can't remember.
I don't know.
In prison, I always realized that the guards all had daddy issues and the prisoners all had mommy issues. Okay? I would say of those things that are on the table for lawyers and DOJ officials and others who conspired with them at the state level, state prosecutors, state police, and so forth who conspired to violate civil rights. And it could also include executive branch officials from the first administration who knowingly conspired and orchestrated a violation of federal civil rights, she added. The weaponization of intelligence and law enforcement against Trump and his allies as they build a potential grand conspiracy case spanning 2016, 2020, and 2024. Evidence in the first and last of the counterintelligence operation is well known and mostly released. Crossfire Hurricane, which probed the now disproven Russian collusion allegations. The Arctic Frost, which looked at Trump's effort to offer the Senate alternative electors ahead of the 2020 election. Documents declassified last year, among other things, that the Obama administration officials, this is all coming back from Obama, and his intelligence officials misled Congress and others while claiming that the discredited anti-Trump Steele dossier was not used in the 2017 U.S. intelligence community assessment on Russian meddling. Didn't Barack Obama, isn't he like a result of like a Soviet menagerie of Islamic terrorism? And you know what I mean? The Arctic Frost probe alone targeted nearly 400 conservative groups. The officials said the two middle operations, which are just beginning to be classified so Congress can fully be read in, may produce some of the most troubling abuses uncovered by Kash Patel and his team and are the focus of ongoing criminal investigations into former FBI and DOJ personnel. For instance, the Plasmic Echo investigation that explored whether Trump illegally took classified documents to his Mar-a-Lago. Why is it doing that? The Mar-a-Lago home, after his first term, had allegedly turned up evidence. My screen keeps blacking out. Sorry, guys. Turned up evidence, and I lost my spot. Mar-a-Lago home, after the first team had already turned up evidence, the FBI agents believed he did not meet legal standard for a search warrant, but agents raided the president's home anyways in August 2022 after being overruled by the DOJ itself, Merrick Garland, according to a bombshell revelation recently from Kash Patel. We continue to pass versions back and forth. After our pause and concern about probable cause for any of the locations outlined, an agent wrote the team, what was the guidance for continuing to work on this document without any new information? Anyways, Christopher Wray is deeply involved in this.
So that was the Plasmic Echo thing.
I shouldn't have a license to practice law, one lawyer told. I'm as shocked as Susie. Meanwhile, the Round River investigation may prove the most troubling of all the counterintelligence probes targeting the Trump universe. Though at present it remains mostly classified, agents only recently discovered the opening memos and files of the probe, which started in the Bureau's Pittsburgh office by targeting a Trump lawyer and former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani for his efforts to investigate Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's exploits in Ukraine. But it then expanded to look at numerous public figures who spoke out about Biden family corruptions. Early whistleblower evidence from the case has raised grave concerns inside Congress about potential civil liberty violations. Specifically, that people in the investigation may have been targeted solely by virtue of their speech. Lawmakers fear the standards for who was targeted were simply talking points deemed by the FBI counterintelligence to be Russian disinformation. In other words, reporters, lawmakers, movie makers, and lawyers who made certain allegations or raised questions about the Biden's dealings in Ukraine may have been assessed to be a national security threat aligned with Russia worthy of investigation and treated as purveyors of information interfering in elections. Senator Grassley's staff is playing a critical role in this. Senator Grassley, Save America Act. Stop toying with us. It's completely disingenuous that you're even involved with this at all. Right? And we went back into Senator Grassley's past, this mysterious plane crash in Iowa, and suddenly he became the gatekeeper for all the whistleblowers. He can either make or break your life depending on how he feels about you and your whistleblower allegations.
And he can either make or break America.
This is unbelievable, right? So why do we take to go into that? Okay. Why do we take the time to go into that? Because our country is in peril. And there aren't easy solutions, right? What was the name? Deb Bavarian talks about common law, raising common law courts. Listen, you want to get killed by the government until this is resolved. Don't take authority onto yourself to be a court, right? I mean, this is Steve Pachinik wrote books about this. This is how actual civil wars that are hot domestically get started. We have to take back our country. It's not their country. It's our country. That was the whole point of the election system and the electoral college and representative form of government, and on we go. But this corruption, I mean, it goes back to JFK. But when Barack Obama comes on the scene, it takes on a completely different feel. He's got allies in Iran, Venezuela, you've got election machines, you've got Soviet influence, you've got Islam. And what does he do the whole time? He does the opposite of what's in the best intentions of America, including starting out his entire presidency flying around the world saying we're not a Christian country anymore, right? It's just absurd. H.L. Young says, I was under the impression, although did not jump on the bandwagon, that Real ID fixed the problem of the government allowing people to come in the country and magically voting. I don't like Real ID. No. I don't like the control grid, but it's kind of, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can use a passport to vote. Don't get Real ID if you can avoid it. What do we got, Ron? Let's take a break. I need a breathing break.
Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to get us some
little coffee break.
Get a coffee in us. Still haven't tried 77.5 coffee. I can't believe it. Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus, no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon. I got to get me one of these spoon clips because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does.
Woohoo!
Love that.
I always wonder why they picked 1775.
I don't know.
Like 1776 makes sense. 1775 is like, what happened then? Some Dragon Tavern meetings or something? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not exactly sure.
Well, you got to do your coffee before your beer.
And, you know, I'm an amateur Revolutionary War buff. You know what I mean? But I'm like, what was going on in 1775? I guess, you know, Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense. It was published in January 1776. So maybe he was like on tour drafting it, kind of doing the Tavern Comedy Club routine with his Common Sense stuff. Okay, so this is Donald Trump. What does this all boil down to? It's pretty simple. These Democrats, these people that have propped this up, they can't remain in power.
For him to get the Congressional Medal of Honor, they didn't want to stand for him. There's something wrong with those people. And we can't let them ever be in a position where they can lead this country again or destroy this country again, because we almost lost this country. This country was close to being lost. The representatives in this room provided the pivotal votes in securing a record $1 trillion for the United States military this year. And now the world is witnessing the importance of that investment with one of the most complex and stunning operations ever for him.
When Trump says we can't let these people around power, this country was close to being lost. Think about the topics we have just briefly touched on. This is not a deep dive show. This is a news commentary show. We kind of go with the day-to-day news flow, and every now and then we'll kind of go off into Joe Pio and the Barack Obama birth certificate scandal, which for most of you, you probably thought was a joke because it was presented to us kind of like a joke by the Democrats. Like, oh, yeah, like Barack Obama got elected. I mean, of course he's an American. You know, of course he was born in Hawaii. No, he was born in Kenya. Okay, he was born in Kenya. His brother says so. His brother presented his Kenyan birth certificate. He's online, you can go look him up. Okay. So it's like, and there's even news articles saying the first Kenyan-born senator. Until they thought he was going to run for president, that they could steal it. He was Kenyan. Okay. The whole thing is.
Well, you got to get some mileage out of that too.
Yeah. And then of course, we don't even deep dive, but we just touch on that because listen, when Donald Trump says we almost lost our country, it's not because because we got some illegal, too many fruit pickers, too many almond pickers, too many abuelas. No, that's not why we almost lost our country. It's not because our tax rate was bad. It's not because our healthcare system was kind of destroyed by Obamacare. Those are not the reasons why we almost lost our country. That's just legislation. We can fix that. What we can't fix is not having real elected leaders. What we can't fix is Islamic terrorism coming to our doorstep and the door being wide open. I mean, John Brennan, for heaven's sake, greenlit the passports of the hijackers, alleged hijackers of the planes on 9/11. I don't even know how that story is all shapes out. You know what I mean? We came so close to losing our country. So close. This isn't about Burisma in Ukraine. It's all of it. It's all of it. We can fix all of it if we have free and fair elections.
Well,
we can flush out bad leaders. We can correct bad legislation. Yes. We can get good judges appointed. We can fix all of it. But what we can't fix is when we don't get a choice in who runs this place. Yep. That leads good patriots to say things like, let's start a common law court and hold our own grand jury. Great. That's a good way for everyone to end up in jail. Okay? Because then it's just might makes right. And we revert to the very thing we want to avoid. Going hot and going kinetic domestically. And that's where you end up. When you oppose the sheriff and the marshals and the state troopers because they're all in a chain of command from bought off politicians or corrupt politicians or foreign interests.
Well, then we take up arms against our brothers because
of
some corrupt politicians that want to grift off the system because they've realized that America just keeps printing money and
printing ballots. The greatest currency we have is our ballot, right? It is absolutely crazy. Frazier says, John Attacker said, I found some states that allow real ID for non-citizens. He just checked. Real ID is not only for U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, green card holders. And
it has nothing to do with citizenship. It's all about control grid.
Yeah, real ID is basically absolutely confirming that you are the person on the driver's license. Yep. No more, literally thousands of driver's licenses were issued with no name given. No name given. CDLs driving 18-wheelers on the interstate with a driver's license that says no name given on it.
Right.
It prevents that from happening.
But it's also stopping just short of putting a chip in your body.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. My mom did send me a text message that says I look good in burgundy. Thank you. I like that. Yeah, I was mentioned by Tarek Johnson on X this morning. Let me see what he said. I posted, so yesterday there was a Capitol Hill police officer that was indicted on like 19 counts of rape and all kinds of horrible charges.
Oh boy.
And there was another Capitol Hill police officer that was indicted on filming his girlfriends and exploitative material and underage stuff. And then there was a sergeant in arms that was arrested in October of 2021 for child pornography.
Oh boy. They
all got their names on the plaque that just went up for J6 in DC. You know, I'm just saying, like, J6 protesters who showed up, we didn't have to pass background checks. That's a smattering of America right there. Okay, so yeah, of course you're going to have some yahoos out there that do stupid stuff. But when you're a Capitol Hill police officer, you'd think you'd pass the background check. It's amazing the concentration of sex offenders at the Capitol Hill Police. It's amazing. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Okay, so what does it boil down to? It boils down to the Save America Act.
With these few things added, and let's go for the gold. Let's not just get one like voter ID, but, you know, it can be given to you by your daughter. You know, your daughter, she has to be of age, like above 6 years old, she's allowed to say. You had to see some of this stuff is so bad. They're doing everything possible because they know if we get this, they probably won't win an election for 50 years, okay? And maybe longer. And they're going to fight like hell. But boy, do they get killed, because even the Democrats, you saw the numbers today, Democrats voted 86% that this stuff should be passed. The Democrats, with the Republicans, you're at 98%, but Democrats are at 86, except for the people that run the Democrat Party because they want to try and win elections illegally. It's the only reason you vote against voter ID is because you want to cheat. There's no other reason. They come up with reasons. They say it's racist. That's their number one, racist. Then you have to explain it, and they're just sitting there mumbling. They can't explain it. And it's actually very insulting when they use the term racist. Very insulting to the people that they're trying to so-called defend, but they're not defending. Then I wanted to add two more to it because they're, I say 95%, maybe 100%. No men in women's sports, very simple. Add that in. And I wanted to add in one other, I'm not even adding in no open borders because
he then adds in no sex changes for minors. Okay. What's the original sin here? Who knows? JFK got shot. That's probably the original sin. Okay. But the original sin here is Barack Obama's birth certificate. It was overthrowing the country in 2008 and putting in Barack Obama, who literally every piece of legislation he passed was to America's detriment. I don't believe there was any legislation that he passed that helped us out at all. I mean, if he did, it was like inconsequential stuff. You know what I mean? Like little things. This is the problem. Okay. Nobody would vote against voter ID unless you want to cheat in elections. Now, Leader Thune in the Senate, he said yesterday, he's like, well, I don't know if I can get Save America through because procedurally and, there's amendments and there's going to be a lot of debate. And then he goes on to say, well, this is huge amounts of support for the Save America Act. He goes, yeah, but I think it's mostly like online paid influencers. It's that online paid influencer ecosystem that wants it.
Yeah, okay.
I wish they paid me. You know what I mean? Like, hello, we got 21 people listening on Rumble right now. 2 people on YouTube. Yeah, we're paid influencers. No, I'm an American. And I've done time for this country in the USMC, the United States Medical Center for Federal Prison, not the Marine Corps. Right? I served prison time over a stolen election. Now, you can say it was, because you rioted. Bullshit. I wasn't there if they hadn't a stolen election. I was read in a little bit too much on this in 2020. I was a little bit too hyped up about it. Why? Because I saw my country get taken from us. I'd seen it get taken from us slowly, legislatively by Barack Obama. At that time, I didn't know Barack Obama wasn't legitimately elected, but it was obviously Biden wasn't. It was obvious. Look what they did to us during COVID. This last 10 years has been one stream of assaults on the American people over and over and over again. So Donald Trump has said he's not signing one more piece of legislation until the Save America Act is on his desk.
The Save Act, and nobody knew what the hell the Save Act. Have you been seeing, I've been working overtime the last month. It's called the Save America Act. And I saw Schumer yesterday. We will stop Save America. He's getting killed. They can't do it. And then the things within the Save America are so good. But just the title. So we had that with MAGA. Greatest name of all time. Make America Great Again. MAGA. It just worked. I had something. Keep America Great. It was good. But it didn't have that MAGA. There was nothing you could see. I had CAG. And CAG, I said, no longer. It's not good. But MAGA is great. And we'll always respect MAGA. We love MAGA. We're never going to let you down with MAGA. But this one's even better if you think about it. This says, America. We're going to save America. The Save America. How can they fight us? The Save America Act. And I've watched them. I watched Schumer, who's horrible. What a horrible politician. He is now a Palestinian officially.
My dad sent me a couple Facebook posts yesterday. I don't have Facebook, so I have to except for the show page, which occasionally I visit. But he sent me a Facebook video, and it was Donald Trump when he was talking about, I'm not going to fall asleep. I blinked. They took pictures, acted like a pussy. He was like, I love our president. He's so funny. He's a stand-up comedian. The Save America Act. How can you fight against that? Right. How can you fight against voter ID? How can you How can you want illegal aliens counted in the census? How can you want, you know what I mean? Like, how do you want these things? This isn't America. Like, again, the political parties are to acquire power. Imagine how excited the Democrats were to get outside help. Foreign influence. Yeah, absolutely. We're getting killed here ever since Mondale. You know what I mean? We've been trying everything to fluff up voter rolls, increase illegal immigration, let them vote. You know what I mean? It's like unreal. Now let's change topics here. Doug Wyatt says, amen, brother. You are preaching today. Yeah. Doug Wyatt was one of my fellow J6 inmates. He and I were like best friends in the prison. We were in DC together and in Philadelphia. We walked miles and miles together. He was known as the info sprayer, hashtag info sprayer. It was a sedition hunter's name. I was hashtag bearded mirror. But anyways, yes, Doug, it's really stunning. And you understand this, right? You and many of our listeners understand this, especially if you listen every day, because as you follow the news daily, and we go out and we pick some of these odd little tidbits, right? And it kind of stacks up. You're like, these people are crazy. Nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, we fixed our voter rolls. No, you didn't. Out in Maricopa County, our voter rolls are great. Then why'd you delete 5,000 voters and then say you didn't? You know what I mean? Like, there's a digital record of that, buddy. Why are you counting ballots from Nevada and Colorado and Utah and Maricopa County? Why? That doesn't make any sense. Why is Runbeck in charge of ordering ballots and counting ballots? How convenient. You just have them delivered right to your loading dock.
Super efficient.
You're going to have them delivered right to your loading dock days before the election. But yet Trump, he gets indicted because he asked Brad Raffensperger to figure out where 11,000 votes are. Like, come on, man. We're this close in Georgia.
I wonder if that Runbeck place can print out the ballots with them already filled in.
It was interesting because, you know, one of our dear show listeners who's been around since the beginning, PB Brown, Utah Scouts, he works elections, right? And for years now, we've had this back and forth. And I hope I'm not putting thoughts or intention or words in his mouth, but for years, he's kind of defended the election system. Like, well, our county has good audits and we have a good, you know, so many ballots in and so many votes. And I've been like, listen, if you're using machines, it's not secure. You're not, you know, well, we audit little stacks, but slowly over time, he's conceded certain points, right? Like, yeah, that is a problem. And yeah, we can't control the registration process. And, you know, the ERIC system is supposed to be a check and balance, but it really doesn't help you. You know what I mean? It's like the little things. But last night he sent me a message when he saw this Runbeck thing, because he knew exactly who they were. And he's like, they shouldn't be anywhere near those two jobs, right? You shouldn't be counting ballots and ordering ballots. It should not be the same people, right? It's like obvious. Yes, Doug Wyatt says justice delayed is justice denied because thousands of people get caught up in this nonsense. It actually pains me to think about how many people are in prison based on legislation passed by people that were not elected. It's actually the most depressing thing you can imagine because they can turn a patriot into a terrorist. How many people are sitting in prison because of laws that were passed by people that were not elected? That is, you talk about deprivation of rights, and we'll never fix that. We'll never go back and fix that. And that's the problem, right?
You can't get that toothpaste back in the tube.
And that's the problem that Trump's up against, right? It would be really nice just to show up and do the Q thing and arrest 427 members of Congress and, you know, arrest all the bureaucrats and all the
staffers. If you hear your name, stand up, say the pledge.
Yeah, exactly. Do a little Saddam Hussein. Like I said, I was really hoping for that at the State of the Union. It's unlikely to happen, right? There's probably going to be I'm saying probably. I don't know. There's probably going to be a handful of high-profile prosecutions, but for the most part, a lot of this stuff, we as the people are just going to have to move on. And guys, this is unfortunately the plight of the peasants. We take the brunt of it, and then even if we can get our hands around it and we can get new leaders in, our suffering goes uncompensated.
Yep.
Right? It's just the way it is. This is just part of the plight of being a peasant. And that's why we do this show, because we want to see this stuff as it's happening so we can do something about it when it happens and not wait. It's also why we pick conspiracy for one of our subtopics, is because frickin' the whole thing's a conspiracy against our rights. All right, we got one more for us. One more.
I need 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Okay. So this is kind of a one-off story here, but this is a woman. Let's watch this little video here. This is really interesting. And you're going to think something's really bad, and then you're going to hear the story behind it.
This is insane. I made a stupid post on Snapchat. The cop came and he found me. And they're taking me to jail. It was just a joke. It was a stupid Snapchat. And now I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do.
I'm Deputy Sean with the Sheriff's Office. Do you happen to have
So this is a teacher arrested for an inappropriate Snapchat.
on you?
I do, yeah.
Okay, do you want to hand that to me, please?
Yes.
Okay. The reason we're here is, have you been on Snapchat earlier today?
Yes, I was, yeah.
Okay. And so we got a call about a snap. So did you happen to make one today?
I'm so confused.
So what I want to show you is the snap we received.
Oh, yes. But, okay, yeah. It was a joke, though. But yes.
Who did you send that to?
That was just my, just to 3 people. Not a private story, but a private. There's only 3 people on there. Okay, yeah, I'm realizing that was a bad joke. That was a bad joke. I did not mean it at serious at all. I'm not a violent person. You can ask any of the teachers. I'm very calm. It wasn't meant to be violence in any way.
So I'm going to be honest with you. This is a serious offense, okay?
I know.
How we got it was the FBI. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So you are going to go with us. Okay. I do got to process you. I'm going to have to stay the night in jail. Okay.
This is crazy.
I know.
I did not mean it to get to this.
I know.
Okay, so she sent a private snap to a private group of 3 people, and it had the word shoot in it. Okay, she wanted to shoot somebody because of something that had happened.
Okay.
I remember one time sitting at, I'm on trial, right, in federal district court, and through the trial, they're putting up tweets that I had put and Facebook posts that I had put. And these are things like, fire emoji it down, right, to DC during the 2020 riots when it was burning, and I was like, fire emoji it down. They put that up. Look, he's so violent. He hates the District of Columbia. He came to do violence. I thought it was funny. He was burning. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or I put another tweet that said something else, alluding to, the pitchforks are going to come out or something like that. I put these tweets up. I'm making threats of violence. No kill yas, no nothing like that. Just kind of funnies, like throwaway jokes. And I'm just sitting there going, man, when you write these words down and it's read back to you, sometimes you feel kind of stupid. Well, my defense attorney, I jokingly say, well, I'm probably going to call you to the stand to be a character witness for me. And he goes, if you call me to the stand, I'll effing kill you. And he's joking. But I'm like, you just threatened to kill me in court. Should I raise my hand and be like, Judge, my defense attorney just threatened to kill me?
Well, what you just said there is exactly, remember Lex Wessner's attorney?
Yeah, if you answer another question with more than 5 words, I will kill you. Exactly, Ron.
Exactly.
Did he mean I will kill you, or did he mean don't answer a question with more than 5 words?
Everybody on the
else.
playground knows what you're saying, Taylor.
Yes. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. So ever wonder what happened to the teacher arrested by Snapchat's AI? So here's what happened. Snapchat grabbed the message, forwarded it to the FBI. The FBI forwarded it back to the sheriff's department. She got arrested because she jokingly typed the word shoot in a private snap to a friend. Snapchat flagged her account and sent the message directly to the FBI. The FBI then had a local sheriff's deputy show up at her school. Well, here's what eventually happened. She was physically pulled out of her elementary school and taken straight to Tazewell County Jail, where she was officially booked for disorderly conduct. After interrogating her, the deputies actually admitted on the record that she made a comment purely out of exasperation. They confirmed she had absolutely zero intent to harm anyone and was never a threat to the school. So Snapchat grabbed this private message that in our normal lives would be just whispered to our friends. Student's so stupid. If I had my way, I'd shoot him in the head. All right, kids, it's time to read Berenstain Bears. You know what I mean? Okay. So then, even though the cops admitted she wasn't a danger and no formal charges were filed, her career took a massive hit. The school district superintendent sent a letter to parents terminating her entirely, stating she would not be allowed to return to finish her assignment.
Whoa.
If a regular person ruined someone's career with a false police report, they would be sued into oblivion. So when exactly does Snapchat get held accountable for this?
Whoa.
Roblox we just found out yesterday when kids send messages on roadblocks or adults, apparently a lot of adults play roadblocks, AI will actually change your message.
What?
Yeah, they'll change your message midair. So you don't know that it changed your message, but the recipient gets a different message. How long until AI makes threats and you get held accountable?
Oh, wow.
And now you're trying to subpoena the black box of the brain of the AI to see what you
right,
really
because you'll have crazy people in court screaming, I didn't do that. I didn't say that. I didn't type it. I didn't do that. And the whole time they'll be right.
Yeah, exactly. In my trial, they put up a vanity name with some tweets that I don't own. It was at PeasantsPod_. I've never used an underscore in anything. No email account, no social media vanity name. I'm like, that's not my account.
Huh.
How am I supposed to prove that? And guess what? The FBI, they subpoenaed all of my social media records. They got all of my device IDs. They knew everything about me. The whole time he's talking about stuff that he got off the ClearBright system where they plug your phone in and grab all your data. And he's like, this tweet was sent, this tweet was sent. And then he goes, where'd you get this vanity name, this social media account? I got it on the Google Wayback Machine. You have subpoenas, so you don't have to do public searches. And you're saying that the Wayback Machine, that's my account? That's not my account. That's a spoof account. Somebody was probably mirroring my account, or you know what I mean? It's kind of like when we stop the podcast, instantaneously somebody goes into Spotify and takes the Peasants Perspective and puts 10 episodes, 15 seconds each on there.
No. They put those in there before.
Was it just before?
Yeah.
I thought it was right after. All right. Well, that story's up.
Whatever. Yeah. It's weird. Whatever.
Anyways, we are in precarious times. If we don't own our country, we're in trouble. If we don't own our country, we're in trouble. All right. Let's do Rumble Wallet.
Yes. Let's do it. We have to.
Oh, I forget your name, but you mentioned you don't use crypto or digital wallets or anything because traffickers use it. That's actually not true. That's what the banking industry tells you is that they use it. The truth is we can track all the transactions in these crypto wallets. They do not provide the privacy you think they provide. And FBI will openly say we would rather criminals use Bitcoin or crypto than use dollar bills. Okay, go for it. Read it.
Well, it didn't give me the Rumble wallet. All right, guys, big announcement. The Pickaxe app is officially live on iOS and Android. You've tried, if you're tired of algorithmic manipulation, shadow banning, and platforms collecting your data while throttling your reach, this is exactly why Pickaxe exists. No algorithms deciding who sees your content. No data mining social media that actually acts social. And this is huge for the Rumble community. Your Rumble videos play directly inside the Pickaxe newsfeed, just like native posts. No redirects, no audience loss, just seamless integration. We've already got major voices on the platform like Diamond and Silk, The Vigilant Fox, Rampage Jackson, Dr. Pierre Corey, Dr. Mary Tally Bowden, Children's Health Defense, Shannon Joy, and many more building communities there. The Rumble gaming community is jumping into the Joker, Uncle Pudge, Midnight in the Mountains, Vapin Gamers, Chafes, Flexington, Soundboard Lord, Cat Dog, and plenty more are making Pickaxe their home base. This is about owning your audience instead of renting it from an algorithm. Download the Pickaxe app right now on iOS or Android, or head to pickaxe.com to join. And remember, you are the algorithm.
You're pretty good. You're pretty good at the 1775 coffee, and you're pretty good at the Rumble wallet now, except for this last one was a little weird. You're pretty good. What's the other one that you're pretty good at? Oh, the Chicago Steak Company.
Oh, yeah.
If you read them about 5 times, it gets pretty smooth. It's hard to read ad copy, man, because it's designed for neuro-linguistic programming. That's not always the way we talk. All right, so this deal over in Iran, I'll tell you, it's like people are one side or the other. Either everything's great, nothing's wrong, nothing to see here, we'll be done in a week. Or you get the other side where it's like, you broke it, you buy it. Here we are again, 30 more years in the Middle East. This is going to be a nightmare.
I hear a lot of, well, we got rid of the nukes, or we need to get rid of the nukes. What is it? Which is it? Why are we bombing them?
Why are we back there if we did this last summer?
Right. Exactly.
Like, they had missiles, and behind that shield of missiles, they would redevelop nukes. Listen, we've talked about this. It's my belief that the main reason why if Trump was going to decide to do it and not pursue diplomatic means till the end of time, is because Venezuela and Iran are directly involved in stealing the election.
Right. And for people that think that there was a diplomatic solution, there's been a diplomatic solution for 47 years.
And Iran has chosen not to take it.
Right.
And the one diplomatic solution we got was not very diplomatic on our end. It was a payoff. It was the Iran deal. Okay. So this is General Kane being asked, is Iran more formidable than you expected?
More formidable than you anticipated, General.
I think they're fighting, and I respect that. I don't think they're more formidable than what we thought.
They're fighting. I respect that. Now, Iran is chock full of Baghdad Bobs. Ron, do you remember Baghdad Bob?
No.
You don't remember Baghdad Bob? Oh my gosh. So in the Iraq invasion during the Gulf War I, there was a news channel in Iraq that was the propaganda. I think all the news channels in Iraq were propaganda for Saddam Hussein. But he was on air being like, the Iraqis are winning. We're pushing the Americans back. We've killed millions of them, And meanwhile, in the background, while he's on news being like, we are winning. There are tanks, M1A1 Abram tanks rolling into Baghdad. And he's Baghdad Bob, just everything's great. Nothing's wrong. Stay in your houses. Your tax bills are due next week. It was just like complete propaganda. Literally, in one of the film clips, tanks are rolling into town behind him, and he's telling Iraqis they're winning. Okay, like, the Iraqis have given up. They've taken off their shoes and started walking home, and he's like, long live Saddam. Okay. So this is an Iranian Baghdad Bob. Now I'm going to go ahead and mute the volume because I got to read it because he's speaks Farsi. So this is Baghdad Bob. In the last interview I did, he says, on the 5th day, I said, we have passed the peak and are heading downhill. This is from Iran's perspective.
Okay.
We've passed the peak and we're heading downhill. Now is our downhill phase. You saw what happened just last night in Tel Aviv, meaning because we hit the radars and the infrastructure today, truly, Mr. President Netanyahu, are trapped in a slaughterhouse in the Persian Gulf.
Okay.
And in the coming days and weeks, much more joyful news will be delivered to the dear nation of Iran. This is great. Look, the big mistake they made was that they came and designed a short-term war, but they didn't realize this might turn into a long-term one. Even the greatest international powers, if they initially plan for a short-term war and halfway through it becomes a long-term war, no matter how much power they have, they will be defeated. Why? Because short-term wars have a specific design. They require limited logistics and limited preparations. A long-term war requires abundant logistics, extensive planning, and they're not capable of doing that, or whatever he said. They thought the Islamic Republic would be finished in 48 hours. First, they brought one aircraft carrier. Then recently they said, for precaution, let's take another ship. But now they are saying we must bring whatever ships we have from anywhere in the world so we can handle this. Take the USS Ford that has now come towards the Mediterranean. It is currently there for their time for leave. There are 5,000 to 6,000 personnel saying, we need to go on leave. Because during their time in Venezuela, their mission there had ended. They were told they will go back for 48 hours and come back. Furthermore, these ships usually need maintenance every 6 months. They need to be resupplied with ammunition, and many other things need to be done. They came for 48 hours. Now, if they want to stay long-term, from the fatigue of the forces to the shortage of ammunition, they will be burdened with other problems. Secondly, they didn't think the war would become long-term. They didn't think, for example, the price of oil would go up from $80. It went up to $120. And then yesterday, it plummeted back down, the biggest one-day ever drop, down to $85 a gallon a barrel again. It has already gone up to 110. You should expect 120 to 150 oil in the coming days. We are getting close to 150. Yes? No. Well, what does this mean? It means the entire global economy will collapse. If the global economy collapses, will the world allow Trump to continue his warmongering? Or will the countries of the region allow him to continue his warmongering? Yes. That is Iranian Bob right there. Tehran Tebow or something.
What's that called when you stand up and talk forever in Congress? The filibuster. I should call him the filibuster Bob.
Filibuster Phil. Yeah. Listen, they've got logistics problems. It's going to be a long-term war. It might be a long-term war. I don't know. War is war. It's never going to change. I don't like any of this. One of the things I hated today was I was listening to a commentator talking about oil and oil and oil. And I was like, stop justifying this war based on oil. Oh, we're going to have their oil reserves and we're going to be able to control the world's oil. Stop.
I don't mind a discussion about oil if you're also talking about China, but yeah.
Yeah.
This is not about acquiring the reserves.
This is not about America getting their oil.
No.
And when you sell it that way, or if that's the reason we're there, I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay. But the real reason we're there is because it's an oppressive regime that was trying to get nuclear weapons, and we're going to do everything they could to get them. They were building an arsenal to hide behind that. I believe they're obviously funding terrorism. If anybody thinks that's not the case, you're retarded. Okay. Ask any soldier in Afghanistan or Iraq or Syria who was ultimately behind those roadside bombs and all the funding for the terror. Iran. Go look at a map. Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Kuwait. Like you know, I get it. You know, we've kind of pushed Iran into a corner, but let's go again. They started it in 1947 with us. Their issue with Britain and British oil and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah. Hello, welcome to the world. Everything's unfair. Okay.
Yeah.
This is an Iranian actor. And with actors, you know, if you bring up an American actor and had them do the same thing, they would say, well, in America, there's all kinds of problems, right? So actors can go either way. But she's being interviewed by an Indian reporter asking about what's happening in Iran. And if the Iranian people want this to stop, you get the gist, right?
Let me start, therefore, by asking you, how do you see the situation in your country over the last 10 days? The relentless bombings, the manner in which Ali Khamenei was assassinated, and the likelihood of even more violence. How do you see?
I think this Indian guy basically, in his language, has the same cadence I have when I talk.
The situation from where you are today outside Iran.
Hi, so thank you for having me, and thank you for finding it important to see the point of view of an Iranian. This interview, I'm going to try and voice the majority of Iranians' voices here and try and make the world understand, as much as it sounds cruel. The Iranian people have been asking for help for many, many years now. You know, it's been 47 years that this regime has been in power. And at this point, it has reached a place where the Iranians have been massacred in January and in many, many other different dates in history where this regime has gone against them and where they had no voice and no power to overthrow them. So at the moment, you will see a majority of Iranians taking pictures and videos of the bombs coming into the country, but super excited because they know that they're targeted at the IRGC and at the regime. And they're so excited and they have so much hope that finally this regime is going to fall, maybe.
Hold on. You know, you're saying they're excited by bombs, but let's be clear, Elnaz, we've seen a school which was bombed and more than 160 innocent schoolgirls died. And
just for the record, I'm not going to play the clip, but that school that was bombed was from a missile that came from Iranians. So they bombed their own school. And then for a moment, the world was like, oh my gosh, America targeted a school. Nope. They did the thing Hamas does where they bomb their own hospitals and then blame it on the Israelis. They did that.
There is enough evidence that the Americans were involved in this. There are fears, therefore, that if this continues, more and more civilian lives will be lost. Aren't you concerned that all of this could only result in further destruction of your country and the possibility of a civil war breaking out? Doesn't that worry you? Or do you simply want the regime first out at all costs?
Of course, it worries everybody in Iran, and everybody is really sad about the fact that our country had to reach this point. But the 160 schoolgirls now are something that the world is seeing. But when the regime poisoned a full girls' school many years back, nobody paid attention. When the regime killed more than 40,000 people in January on the 8th and 9th and then turned off the internet for the whole world so that nobody can talk about it, nobody paid attention to that. When the regime has been executing, we have the highest rate of executions in Iran. So many people, so many women, so many men, nobody pays attention to that. We Iranians know that there will be a lot of casualties, but we also know that there are casualties every day. There are more people dying when there is no war than when there is war. And this is something that will be very, very hard for people to understand. And people will think that I am for war. I'm not for war. Iranians are not for war. We don't want this. But we have no other way to remove this regime that has been killing its own people.
And that's the scary thing about what's been happening in the United States of America. It's a slow slip. When you lose control of your government, the government starts to control you. They have no way. 40,000 protesters killed in January. And it's last year was another 10,000, and another set of protests, and another set of protests.
And if you get the real ID control get in place, you know where all the people are that you want to kill.
It matters who runs this place. Yes. So why are we there? Are we there just to defend the Iranians? Not necessarily. It had to threaten us, right? Because every country is in charge of their own country. But if you're threatening your neighbors, you're threatening worldwide violence, and you know what I mean? What the hubris of the Iranians that think that they're the linchpin in the worldwide economy. You know what I mean? The hubris. And what leverage they thought they had at the Strait of Hormuz.
I mean, we say the same thing about ourselves, but Iran?
Yeah, well, we do actually have the GDP to support the claim. Okay? I mean, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Okay, so the mullahs are scrambling. They are in a tough spot, says Pete Hegson.
Mullahs are desperate and scrambling. Like the terrorist cowards they are, they fire missiles from schools and hospitals, deliberately targeting innocents, because they know their military is being systematically degraded and annihilated. Iran's neighbors, and in some cases, former allies in the Gulf, they've abandoned them. And their proxies, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas, either broken, ineffective, or on the sidelines. Iran stands alone, and they are badly losing. Mullahs are desperate.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty decimated now. Now, Mark Kelly of the seditious Six fame, who used to be a captain in the Navy, now he's been demoted. So I don't know what his rank is now, but he's big mad. I mean, listen to this, right? I mean, tell me this guy's not in on the cover up of Barack Obama's birth certificate. It goes all the way back there. Oh, by the way, he's from Arizona. You think he sits in his seat legitimately?
Thinks the Iran war could be over very soon. He called it an excursion. Does that sound realistic to you?
Well, I mean, who knows with Donald Trump? I mean, he went into this without a strategic goal, without a plan, without a timeline. And now he calls this an excursion. We have 7 dead Americans.
It's funny because Barack Obama was really big, and Bush too, on this is when we're going to do something, and this is what we're going to do, and this is when we're going to stop doing something, which basically just says, oh, well, stay out of the area when they start. You know what I mean? And come back when they leave. Like the whole pre-planning and telling the world what you're going to do. And it was Trump since day one. I will not be telling the enemy when I'm going to be attacking. I will not be telling the enemy what my objectives are. And I will not be telling the enemy when I'm leaving. Right? I mean, that's been like Trump's absolute MO. So when Mark Kelly says that, it's like, you don't think he had a plan? He had a plan. He's just not going to tell the world.
There are probably about 150, if not more, Iranian children that are dead, other casualties in the region. And the end, I mean, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I think Donald Trump ultimately at some point is going to decide, when this ends. His Secretary of Defense, I think, said today or yesterday that we're at the beginning of this conflict. So I think the president needs to, sit down and listen to the people around him, at least the few people that know what they're doing, and start to come up with a plan here. What is the exit strategy? And explain it to the American people. And by the way, Anderson, I don't see what the American people are getting out of this. We've got dead Americans. We've got the possibility of boots on the ground, which could lead to a lot more casualties, on our side. And it's incredibly frustrating. I have to say that.
You don't think that there's anything that the United States accomplished in this thus far?
Well, I mean, we sunk some of their Navy ships. We've destroyed some of their launch capability for the ballistic missiles. They fired a lot of ballistic missiles. On our side, we have fired a lot of interceptors, PAC-3 rounds for Patriots, other defensive missiles. We've got a math problem here. Regime change didn't happen. The son of the Ayatollah might be worse than the dad. We don't know yet, and I think only time is going to tell. The president said last summer we obliterated the nuclear weapons that they had in the uranium. That wasn't the case because now they're talking about ground operations to remove what's left. So I don't see from a strategic perspective what was accomplished. This isn't like the first Gulf War that I fought in, where the goal was to kick the Iraqi military out of Kuwait. And when we achieved that goal, we had a timeline to achieve it, and when we achieved it, we pulled out. I haven't seen anything like that from this president.
Axios had previously reported the U.S. was considering sending in special forces to secure or try to dilute Iran's enriched uranium stockpile. You referenced this. CNN's reporting tonight that according to 7 current and former officials, that kind of a mission will require a lot of ground troops, frankly, not just a small, special operations. Is that something you think would be a good idea?
Well, I am in the camp where the Iranians cannot get a nuclear weapon. And the problem with this is, if you go back to 2018, when Donald Trump was in the White House, he tore up the Iran nuclear deal. They were not enriching uranium to the point where they could develop a nuclear weapon. But Donald Trump didn't like it because it was something his predecessor put in place, and he tore it up. And that's how we got to where we are today.
Covering for Barack Obama, who sent pallets of cash and absolutely gave them a path to a nuclear bomb.
Mm-hmm.
That agreement, if you read it, was bad. And it was pre-drafted by Obama. They walked over and said, sign this. And it was not restrictive at all. So here we are again, a senator from Arizona, from where Maricopa County was counting ballots for Nevada, stolen elections, defending Barack Obama, the fake birth certificate guy. Here we are again. Here we are again.
I do.
Oh, and by the way, this Mark Kelly was an astronaut, right? He was an astronaut. Which is and if you remember when Martha, I think it was McSally, was running against him, she pointed out in one of the debates that when he went to the International Space Station to do his little stint up there, he didn't take an American flag with him. Do you know what flag he took with him?
Come on.
Say it. Say it.
No.
A Chinese flag.
Why?
Yes.
Why?
And Martha McSally, he says, do you question my patriotism? She goes, I'm not questioning your patriotism. I'm questioning your judgment.
Yeah.
Okay. This Mark Kelly.
I believe that we've got to make sure that they not get a nuclear weapon. That is clear. Putting a massive force on the ground to remove what is remaining could result in a lot of death of U.S. service members.
Oh.
So I would want to see, what is the plan for this operation? Do we have any allies involved? How do we mitigate and minimize the risk to our service members? And so far, what I've seen is mostly like a clown show.
That's mitigation right there, baby.
So we have the Secretary of State
playing it in the
saying
background.
things that are different than what the Secretary of Defense says. The president will say something new. They haven't even been able to explain. I've got a running list, Anderson, of I'm up to 9 or 10 reasons why we're even in this conflict. And it just grows by the day.
How many did you need to get to 12? Is that when you would finally green light?
I was almost up to 9 or 10 charges for sedition.
This is what's funny to me. I'm up to 9 or 10 reasons why we're there. Oh, did you need to get to 12? I mean, at what point did you go, okay, it's justified? You got 9 reasons and you're still going, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it.
This sounds like the same logic that they're using for not indicting people. It's like, how much evidence do you need?
I know exactly. And Trump, he's downplaying it.
Our country is doing really well. I mean, at a level that nobody thought. We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. How good is our military, right? Amazing. How good? Short-term.
Short term, a little excursion. We're going to go blow the shit out of the Middle East. Just a little excursion. Okay. Carlite says, when I was at a meeting in my NASA days, he used to run a huge division at NASA. He says he's not from the Illuminati, but I don't know. I mean, I thought NASA only hired Illuminati guys. I'm just teasing you, Carlitos. When I was at a meeting in my NASA days, we got a report that astronauts who were supposed to be on the International Space Station had been robbed on a train in Moscow. Fake space. I believe it, Carlitos. I believe it. I'll be honest with you. I believe it. I've seen the videos of Mark Kelly himself where he's like doing something in space and the thing drops. It's like, oh, what happened there? You flick it down real fast? Like it's like the perfect speed of gravity. Anyways, no hair. They like astronauts that are bald. They don't have to deal with the hair. Okay, so Trump went on to explain this, that we've got more targets. And if the Iranian regime doesn't back down, you know, your Tehran Tilly over there or whatever his name was, you know, America's not ready. We're going to start hitting some serious targets because we need the Iranian regime to fall. Allegedly, right now, the son of the Ayatollah is the new Ayatollah.
Right.
Turns out he might not know he's the new Ayatollah because he lost his leg in a bomb blast and had to be amputated, and he's probably not even conscious.
It's just what we're telling the rest of the world.
Nobody wants to be the target, so make the gimp in the hospital bed be the target, right?
We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets. And we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it. If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things. So we're not looking to do that if we don't have to. But they're the kind of things that are very easy to hit, but very devastating if they are hit. We are waiting to see what happens before we hit them. We could take them all out in one day, but it's all resulting in a 90% decline in various things, but in particular, Iranian missile launchers and 83% drop in drone launchers, as you know.
Yeah. So they've hit a lot of targets. The firing back has been limited to really nothing. And Pete Hegseth is very adamant. We are not going to get. Hold on.
It sounds like the targets that Trump was talking about, that he says, you know, we could obliterate all these targets in 24 hours, but, you know, we're holding on to that. Sounds like those are all targets that are going to affect the average citizen.
Yes, power plants, desalination plants.
And that would be devastating.
That's what he's talking about. It would be devastating. And so they're holding off. Stop firing drones back, you know, and we'll let you have a power grid. But you can't have factories. You can't have missile launchers. You can't have factories that build bombs or drones or underground bunkers, right? I get it.
Well, but
today will be.
Go ahead.
Oh, I guess what I was going to say is that message should be interpreted by every American as a metered, rational metered response, and like we're not just going in there and going crazy.
No.
You know, we're trying to be rational here.
Yeah.
Well, today will be yet again our most intense day of strikes inside Iran. The most fighters, the most bombers, the most strikes, intelligence more refined and better than ever. So that's on one hand. On the other hand, the last 24 hours have seen Iran fire the lowest number of missiles they've been capable of firing yet. Just the bifurcation, just the trend lines that we talked about on our first briefing. You see, this is not 2003. This is not endless nation building under those types of quagmires we saw under Bush or Obama. It's not even close. Our generation of soldier will not let that happen again, and nor will this president, who very clearly ran against those kinds of never-ending, nebulously scoped missions. Those days are dead. Instead, we're winning decisively with brutal efficiency, total air
domination, and whatever he finishes.
You know, a lot of people will criticize whatever he says, no matter what. But the fact that he's talking and telling us as much as he can is transparency.
Without telling us when they're going to stop or what targets we're going to hit. Exactly. So Trump was on a call with Fox News, or they reported Fox Alert. They reported Trump saying
I'll
this.
be watching. The president's going to hold a news conference just a short time from now. It's going to get started at 5:30 from Doral, Florida this evening. In the meantime, he has done some phone interviews with several outlets, most recently talking to CBS News's White House reporter, I should say. And in that interview with Wei Zhejiang, he said, I think the war is very complete, pretty much. They have no Navy, no communications. They've got no Air Force. He added that the U.S. is, quote, very far ahead of the initial 4 to 5 week estimated time frame. And then with that, all be.
That's pretty good. 4 to 5 week time frame. Hopefully we get out sooner than later. Okay, guys, we are going to jump over to private and just spend a little bit of time over there. We're going to be talking about Chuck Schumer and what is going to happen if the Democrats take back the House, the Senate, and potentially the presidency again. And boy, do they want to. We are going to be talking about the strategic oil reserve and how the Democrats blocked the refilling of that, which is one of the reasons why we couldn't get some instantaneous relief at the gas pump. We're going to be talking about lasers on battleships. We're going to be talking about lasers, sharks with lasers. Okay. And we're going to talk about a fellow J6er, Jake Lang, who was involved in a terrorist event against ISIS this week in New York. It went largely unnoticed. I didn't want to report it because I hate mentioning Jake Lang's name. Met the guy a couple times. Okay. But it's important. It's national news. And it's another one of those little stories where it's go, how did people who just showed up here a couple of years ago that are dedicated to ISIS end up living in a $2.5 million house? So we'll look at that real quick. So we'll see you guys on the other side in private. Please don't forget to go register for Ignite at 1776live.us, and we'll see you there. Bye.